You're listening to the Clutter Fairy Weekly, a weekly webcast and podcast brought to you by the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas. If you'd like to participate in one of our live webcasts, please visit cfhou.com/weekly. You'll find a calendar of upcoming webcasts, as well as instructions for joining the Zoom meeting via the app or by phone. We'd love to see you. That URL again is cfhou.com/weekly. Now here's the weekly episode. Enjoy.
Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. This is the Clutter Fairy Weekly for July 22nd, 2025. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hey, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life that you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep.
If you're new to our Zoom meeting, we want to let you know that you can share your comments and questions via the chat feature, and I'll try to make sure Gayle addresses them before we move on to another topic. You can also use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment yourself via audio or video. And we are streaming the webcast live on Facebook, so you can share questions and comments there, and I'll relay them to Gayle. We're going to start by talking about last week's weekly tittle, which was called Refresh Your Workspace. The assignment was to optimize the primary place where you carry out office work, in quotes, tasks, such as your desktop, dedicated work surface, or any other place where you store and use work materials. Let's hear from our participants in Zoom and on Facebook. Who took another pass through the home workspace this week? Please let us know in the comments. It occurred to me, Gayle, that we've done tittles similar to this one a couple of times. So I don't know. Some of our people may have their offices down to the bare minimum.
Already worked out. Oh, Anita has her hand up.
Let's go ahead, Anita.
I'm still yak shaving, but.
Gotcha.
I love that term so much. It's such a great term.
When I finish doing what I plan to be doing in the office, I will send you a picture, my new picture of my yak that my friend sent me for my birthday. I hung it up in there beneath a picture of it's a little sign that says, "My brain has too many tabs open." And yeah, and that's my inspiration.
Cool.
Yesterday, we wound up doing, thank God to my decluttering friend who keeps saying, "No, let's do that drawer next." We attacked a whole file drawer.
Ooh.
Went through
that's
every
good.
file in there and got rid of, I'd say, at least 2 grocery bags full of paper.
That's
not to
great.
mention stuff that went in the shredder. So that's good. And what I'm trying to do, my goal is, I have a procedure going on Thursday, and my instructions for after it say for 24 hours, I'm not supposed to move.
You're not supposed to what?
Move?
Move.
Oh my.
I'm not supposed to use the joint, and it happens to be my hip, and I don't see how it does that. If one needs to use the bathroom or wants to sit in a recliner. I mean, it's got to bend sometimes, but I think since it's a sports medicine doctor, they probably mean don't go to an exercise class, dummy.
Minimize.
Right.
So I have all these things planned to do, and I'm hoping it doesn't interfere with my main aim is going to be to sit at my desk and keep doing all the bins of stuff, the non-charity bin and the charity bin. And I'm finally putting things online instead of doing mail. So now I can just throw the mail out when it comes in. I don't even have to look at it.
That's
if
good.
I tell them I'm doing online, it's their paper bill, not mine.
Right. Exactly.
So my goal for, I'm probably spend a good week with very limited activity. So my goal is to finish that. Well, I'll never finish my office because of the fire hose concept. But,
right.
But I certainly hope to, I don't know, I won't get it down to a trickle, but what I'll do is I'll just point the fire hose at the recycle bin and let it go that way. So I'm hopeful for that, and reading a book. The first 24 hours I'm reading a book. I was
Oh,
hoping
good.
the clutter book would come in,
Yeah, the ADHD
it
friendly ways to organize.
hasn't come in yet. I did order it, but it's not in yet. So
Okay.
I'm reading
Well,
a book that a friend just wrote. So
and don't forget to also rest and recuperate.
yeah, yeah. And
Which
I
is the
know,
point of the 5 days, right? Like,
well, one of my goals of this, getting this procedure done on my hip is so that I don't have to keep retreating every afternoon for like an hour and a half with my feet up with heat and ice and all this stuff. I mean, I feel like I could use that hour and a half to do something, but I'm in too much pain right now to do anything.
well, yeah, I mean,
Go
and
lie
so,
down,
and
you know.
addressing your pain is a good thing. Like, if there's something that can be done that'll make it better, then take the time out for self-care is important and valuable, and it allows you to do other things at the other end. And so,
Yep.
good for you.
I always think of you hobbling around, you know.
Right?
I'm thinking, well, if Gayle can do it, I can do it. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. But hobbling was annoying. It was annoying. It was super annoying.
Yeah, I just I have
Okay.
trouble sitting still. So
All right. Well, good luck.
my
We'll wait to
goal.
hear how it goes.
Thanks
Come
for
back
the
and
Okay.
tell us.
update. Okay, let's some more tittle updates. M says, where is it? M says, widening. Where is it? I can't find it. Goat trail is widening. This is progress.
That is progress. That means it's easier to walk through. You've got more floor space showing up, which is great. I'm proud of you, and
And
just keep chipping away.
for anyone who hasn't heard us use that term before, that goat trails is how Gayle often talks about, the experience in a deeply cluttered space where you have to sort of put one foot in front of the other and turn yourself
It's a
sideways and
very thin walking path
lean a
through it.
certain way to get through and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brenda reports that she cleaned out the medicine cabinet.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yay. That's got to feel like I'm sure you threw away a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so
One
there's
full
suddenly a lot
trash
of
bag.
room.
One full
That's
trash bag, she says. That's
awesome.
fantastic.
Can you imagine how many things were in there? Oh my goodness. You must feel like you suddenly regained a whole new cabinet.
Catherine says all sons left stuff in totes ready to be picked up. Um, all all sons left stuff in totes ready to be picked up. Basement space back.
Oh, that's great. That's a
Yeah.
huge one. And so he's been notified that he has things to pick up. And when he comes and takes those totes away, you will have reclaimed your basement space. That's really good. Congratulations.
And Jacqueline says, I've been finishing someday to do, she's put that in quotes, someday to do projects as a form of decluttering. I framed and hung 2 pieces of artwork.
Oh,
I made 2 hangers out of macrame for houseplants and got them hung up. I have a box packed up and in my car to drop off at the donation place this afternoon.
that's like tackling it from a whole bunch of directions. That's great. We always have those projects that we're going to do someday, and if we don't ever actually do them, they just become, detritus in the house. So how great that you made them happen, and aren't you happy with the results that your plants are hanging and the pictures are hung? That's wonderful. Good for you.
Okay, and M says my desk, she put desk in quotation marks, so that means the space that serves as a desk.
Right.
Read
Her
that.
non-traditional space.
My desk is maintaining pretty well from the last pass, except for sales receipts. I put off recording the purchases. I am wondering now if it is so necessary. Maybe I could just stuff them in a jar in case they are needed, then dump the jar at the end of the year.
Absolutely. You can, stick them in a box. I have a tray basically that I toss those in against. Do I need to return it? Do I think something got charged incorrectly? That kind of stuff. And truthfully, has that happened in forever? No, of course it hasn't. So the risk is really, really low. So if you think about things like the receipts for food that you buy or the restaurants that you go to or whatever, that consumable goods. I went to the gas station. You can't give the gas back. You can't give the food back. Beyond, like, if you go to the grocery store, you can buy something and maybe return it for a day or two, but you can't take something back later, and you will have eaten most of the food. So anything that is related to that, I think you can give away much quicker, and it's really saving the receipts for durable goods, things that could actually be returned at another point that you might want to save. And then, is it related to taxes? If it has something to do with your tax return, then you can save it. But the likelihood is your standard going to spend money day to day is about living and eating and, keeping things in the house to clean and, laundry, soap, and toothpaste, right? Like it's personal care and home care and you having food. And those kinds of receipts, the need for them is super, super low. So even if you just keep them for a week and then throw them out, you're good. And if you don't want to even think about it and you want to postpone that project to the very end, you can, like you said, put it in a jar, ignore them, get to the end of the year and throw them all out. Okay, you can do that too. And I'll tell you that you'll probably feel uncomfortable about it and you'll want to sit there and look at them all. You may want to try to do it a little bit more, go into the jar more than once a year, and just to reduce your volume of before you throw it all out.
Okay, I
Okay.
want to share one more fun comment. This is from Trisha, who's with us on Facebook. Trisha says, at the end of my wedding on Saturday, I told everyone to take anything out of the room that they liked and wanted. It was a mermaid pirate theme, and there was stuff everywhere. And I only ended up taking home about half a dozen boxes instead of the 30 I got there with.
Oh, that's awesome. You let everybody take this stuff home as favors, and what a great idea. Good for you. And and now you get to look at the 6 boxes you took home and you're going to have to think, okay, do I really need all of this stuff? Probably not.
Right,
So, but
representative samples.
right? But you prevented, you didn't have to bring it all home and you didn't have to donate it all. It all went as memories for other people. And then if they want to donate it later in life, they can absolutely do that one piece at a time. And so good for you. That was a good plan.
Okay,
Let them undo your decorations for you.
let's go on to our main topic.
Okay.
Have you struggled with clutter for years, but keep feeling like you're right back at square one? Maybe it's time to take a critical look at the beliefs, assumptions, and routines that aren't getting the job done. Today, we're going to examine habits of thought and practice that keep us stuck in clutter and suggest strategies for bringing radically honest change to the work of decluttering and organizing.
This is a difficult topic to cover because I wanted to talk about ways we aren't honest with ourselves about how clutter has happened, how bad it is, how much work it's going to take to clear it, and what we can do and what we're willing to do to fix it. There are a lot of ways that we prevent ourselves from facing the reality of the project, not the least because we're often so overwhelmed by all of it. What I'm going to present is based on my experience with clients and working with them. I expect that some of you listening will be unhappy hearing some of the points that I'll make today and might even feel offended or angry. I just wanted to say that that's okay. I'm putting this out there today, and if this message doesn't speak to you, that's truly okay. I'm viewing this as making an opportunity for you to see the situation differently and potentially making a shift in your view. If it works for you this time around, great. If it doesn't resonate with you, you're still making progress on your project, and that's all that matters ultimately. So thanks for indulging me today in some real talk, and take it or leave it as you prefer. So here's the ultimate question I'm trying to answer today. What ways are we not honest with ourselves about clutter and the things that we live with in our homes? The first comment I have is that we disguise what is really emotional attachment to things as things that are potentially useful in the future. So we keep lots of things out of nostalgia, fear, or guilt. We all have things we keep as memories. Where we get in trouble is pretending like these things aren't staying because they're useful. I mean, they are staying because they're useful and not just because they're a memory trigger. Keepsakes are, by definition, memories and not really a useful item. They shouldn't be the primary space holders in your home and taking up valuable living and storage space. If you want to live in your house, the keepsake items that you are not currently using for something, like a piece of furniture, can't take up half of your space. They need to take up a small percentage of your living space. We often increase the allocated space for these objects by telling ourselves they're useful, in air quotes, when you truly have no intention of using them. That fib to yourself keeps you buried in too many keepsakes and not enough living space. Some things are staying in the house because of fear or guilt. Most often, it's associated with a gift received or an object inherited. We save things because it came from a deceased relative or from a living relative who might visit your house and look for the item. If they're not things that you can or you want to use, then it's really a keepsake that you're too afraid or too guilty to pass on. Again, that's taking up living space with things you in reality don't actually like or want to use. And unless you live in a huge house, you don't really have a lot of room for that kind of stuff. Another place we're not honest with ourselves is keeping a big volume of just in case, again in air quotes, just in case items. We keep items for a hypothetical future against a potential need. The issue is there are an infinite number of potential futures. So there's always a potential future that might make that item necessary. But do you really want to keep a whole bunch of things against an infinite list of potential needs? You can't predict which ones might happen. So you can convince yourself to keep just about anything. And the result is you're drowning in stuff for a potential future. Better being honest about the true likelihood that something might happen and reducing the number of potentials you store things against. It's the only way to corral your just in case items to a reasonable portion of your space. Next, we've talked about challenging the sunk cost fallacy before here. When we spend good money on something, you might feel obligated to keep items because of that. We convince ourselves that we can keep that money back or get that money back out of the item, or the money isn't sunk cost if we just don't give the item away. Honesty allows you to recognize when something no longer serves its purpose, regardless of its initial cost, and that there's not that much out there that has a true resale value that's worth pursuing. The honest truth is that money's gone. The money is gone. And saving a purchased item because it cost you a lot won't make the object more useful to you. If you're not using it for whatever reason, then the money is not going to suddenly return to you. The money's gone, whether you're happy about it or not, and you're still not using what you bought. So why does it need to stay with you? Next up, we often lie to ourselves about what work we can actually get done. We overestimate how fast we can get through a densely packed space and how long we can stand to stay working at it. We wait for the perfect day when we feel willing to work and have the free day to work. And surprisingly, those two targets never seem to align. Many times we're not truthful about our physical capacity or how much free time we have. We act like there's going to be a large time block someday where we can work all weekend or all day when our life commitments prevent that kind of time from being available. We act like we can run around for 10 hours a day, pulling things out and making nonstop decisions all day. And we fail to set realistic goals for a million reasons because we don't want to face our real life limitations. If you can only work 90 minutes of functional energy to work before your body gives out in some way, then you're not going to be able to work for 10 hours in one day. And making plans like you can do that is pointless and a waste of your time. I have this interaction with clients all the time because they want to know how long it's going to take. They're asking me what the cost is going to be if I work with them. And in the beginning, I was afraid to tell people how long it was going to take. I could look at the space and go, yeah, I'm going to be here for 6 months. And nobody wanted to hear that. But I've learned that there's no point in not telling the truth about that. Like, you've hired me as an expert. I'm going to tell you this is a 6-month job of me coming every other week for 3 hours in order to get through this stuff. It's going to take a while. We're going to be friends for a while. And if that's what you want to commit to, then I'm here for it, and let's do it. Because if you're not ready to do that, if you're not willing to be realistic about what amount of time something's going to take and how your capacity makes that process slower or faster, then we can work, but we're not going to get to where you are hoping to go because you're not seeing it through a realistic lens. So I've learned to tell the truth up front and, deal with the shock that I get after that when I announce it and everybody goes, oh my God, really? Yeah, really. This is a lot of work. You have waited a long time to address this problem, and now it's a big, big project, and that's why you need help, and that's why it's going to take so long. It's important to be honest about that. We struggle to acknowledge the habits that create clutter. We don't want to see that our shopping habit comes with no impulse control and our attempt to shop for entertainment is impulsive and a fleeting thrill, really, that fades as soon as the buy takes place. The emotions that we're trying to deal with or distract ourselves from are only very temporarily forgotten, but not resolved. And the clutter that results from that shopping is permanent until we deal with it. The truth that we don't want to face is that shopping doesn't solve any emotional problems. It only distracts us for a second or two. And the end result is creating way more issues to deal with instead. We all have needs that we must shop to address. We need clothes and food and household items. But when we shop after those needs are met, we're just buying clutter. Expensive, beautiful, useful clutter because we already don't have room to bring more into the house. Once your storage and spaces are densely full, then anything coming in, regardless of how fabulous it is, contributes to the clutter problem. Another way we aren't honest with ourselves, we create very detailed or complicated systems to organize our things. Then they're too complicated for us to maintain. We build systems that require too much time and effort to use, which really makes them actually useless to us. We are often not honest about how much and what exactly we're willing to do for a system. Getting honest about how much work you're willing to do to maintain an organizing system will help you build something that you'll actually do, not something that looks fancy but is too detailed to manage. More complicated means more work to use it. And if you're not naturally inclined to focus on complicated routines and execute them, then that new complicated system is going to stall out immediately. Better to adopt a system that is less steps with easier ability to execute it. That at least gets some organization happening, even if it doesn't look like a Pinterest board.
Another point about another aspect of this particular point is, we're referring to systems like all my paper goes in this filing cabinet, or all my art supplies go in this closet, this shelf in a closet. But you can also look at the bigger picture, the whole house, as your very, very, very complicated system, because all of your smaller systems add up to one big giant system. And so you need to also look at that big system, and if your capacity to manage it, even if some little pieces of it are working well, if you don't have the capacity to manage the whole thing, you still have too much stuff.
Right? It's still too overwhelming. Yeah, and that usually means that the individual systems reflect too large a volume. Like the systems are working, but there's too much volume in each system to manage. And so you can't keep them all up simultaneously to keep the house in order. You can only occasionally give attention to each little system that you got working. And so it's harder to keep it all running at the same time. That's a good point, Ed. Thank you. So, what are the results you can expect if you lean into being honest with yourself? You can expect that you will be able to make quick decisions. Being honest about whether an item is truly used or loved allows for faster decisions during the decluttering process. Um, we've all had that decision fatigue or that frozen moment where we look at something and go, oh God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But it's because you're running through all of I'm afraid to give it away. I feel guilty about giving away. I feel like This is, this is a keepsake that's important. You're hitting all of the responses that normally trip you up and freeze you. But if you've gotten more clear about what's important for you to keep and what isn't, it makes those decisions a lot faster and easier to do, because you can look at something and compare it to your criteria of whether it needs to stay or go, and filter it much quicker. You can focus on what truly matters. Honesty helps you cut through the distractions and focus on items that generally add value to your life. And it leads to a more intentional approach to possessions, so that you're deciding, this stuff that I'm needing and using right now is really important for me to focus on. And this stuff that I'm not needing and not using right now is not important and doesn't need me to build a system around it. It doesn't need me to make storage space for it. I don't need to be focusing on that stuff. And you can release that stuff that doesn't really need your attention. You can certainly plan better. A realistic view of what needs to be done, how long it will take, and what you're willing to actually do means that you can plan better to achieve decluttering and organizing goals. You can make plans to work hard based on your actual free time and your real ability to focus and work, and your willingness to work with a system once you've created it. That way you're not wasting time trying to do something you can or won't do and feeling frustrated that all the work isn't done in a day. I think that there is hardly any organizing project that you can feel completely satisfied is done in one day. And so aiming for that, or aiming for, I'm going to fix my office all completely in a weekend, is probably not realistic. And it's designed to make you frustrated and irritated at the end that you're not done. But I think if you are able to have a realistic view of, this is going to be a lot of work and I just need to keep chipping away at it until it's complete, it manages your frustration level, and you don't expect it to be done in a day, and you don't have to have a huge block of time to work on it. And therefore you can make better planning about, I'm going to allocate 2 hours here or 3 hours 2 times a week, or however you want to focus that, so that you use your best energy and use the time that you have available and make slow progress towards a goal. And that's great. It also helps you avoid procrastination. When you're honest about the task at hand, the effort and the benefits of completing it, you're more likely to overcome inertia and take action. Recognizing this project is big and it's going to be time consuming doesn't make it impossible. Knowing what you can really do and what working the project looks like for you means you can take meaningful steps forward even if you're overwhelmed. So to sum up here, we're talking about self-awareness. We want you to look at your own habits, assumptions, and beliefs, update them for what's real for you. Then you can come to the projects we all have with clarity about how to plan and work your organizing project. And don't forget that part of any plan can be to ask for help when things you feel are beyond your capabilities at the moment. And thanks for listening today. I hope it shakes something loose for you in terms of your home project. And I'm happy to answer questions if you have any today.
Okay, let's go to some comments. May gave an example. This is while you were talking about the things that might be useful, that are potentially useful, but we're probably really keeping them for nostalgic reasons. She says,
Right.
like my Italian grandmother's hand crank sausage maker. I will I will never make homemade sausage. I get it.
Ta-da. That was your grandmother's um, gift and skill, not yours. Or maybe it was just your grandmother's necessity of what it was like for her living in that moment when she was making that sausage herself. Maybe that was the best that she could do. That was, she couldn't afford it unless she made it herself. You don't know why she was making it. Maybe she loved to make it and it was her favorite thing. But the truth is, yeah, you're probably not going to be cranking your own sausage. So good for you to figure that out and send it on to somebody else. I like
Linda
that.
Linda says, you told me it would take a year, and it did. It was a shock at first, but such a good feeling at the end.
I know, right? And if you kept at it for the year and you got done and you were happy, How great. I mean, that's the definition of I kept aiming for the goal, even though the goal wasn't imminently in sight, and you kept going towards it, and you got a year and it went by, and here you are, and you have the result. And that is awesome. That is super glad. I'm super glad that you could take that information in, even though it was shocking, and then you just started doing your thing, and that's awesome. Good to hear.
Ginger says, the reality of my real physical abilities is becoming more clear every day. My long daily to-do list has become shorter. I find myself doing things in shorter spurts.
Mm. Which is a good adaptation to where you're coming from, right? Like you have to work with what you got. And if you don't have the same energy you had when you're 30, what a shocker, none of us do, right? And so, great that you are adapting for where you're coming from now and doing it in shorter bursts and having the self-care like Anita was talking about, she's not supposed to mess with it for a week and and yet she wants to be doing stuff. Well, but it's self-care for you to do it in short bursts and to rest in between so that you're not burning up what resources you have through overextension and that you can keep coming at it with your little bursts of energy and still be making progress towards the goal that you want. And it changes your priorities too, like as your capacities get lower or you have less, they have a shorter time frame, then it means that you have to prioritize what's most important and make sure that those things get done first. And then it means that having extra stuff around gets in the way of you doing the things that are the priorities. And so it might be worth having somebody come in to help you and remove some big chunks of things to get them out of the way so that when you're using your energy level and you're not fighting the extras in the house to do it and you're not having to worry about stuff that doesn't need to be a priority anymore.
Okay, Deborah says, even before I did the KonMari clean out, I started thinking about the end of life of anything I acquired. Everything I bring in, I need to look at the end of the life of that item. I'm
Mm.
responsible from the point of purchase to the end life of that product. This means I'm careful about what I bring into my home. Can I be responsible for the end of its life, or will it end up in landfill? Are the fabrics I purchase biodegradable? How many plastics can be allowed into my home, and so on?
That's a very helpful filter to put something through and to slow you down and have you be thoughtful before you purchase something and to be very intentional about what you're bringing in the house. Those are great filters to use. And what a great idea that you did it. Thank you. I think the idea of recognizing what's going to happen with this thing at the end and am I going to be able to use it up or dispose of it properly or in an environmentally sound way is a great filter to slow you down in a lot of ways. Good for you.
Great comment from Ginger. She says, I quit filing. I hated it anyway. I
There
have an
you go.
important papers binder. That's great peace of mind. We keep major medical and dental procedures. They're usually already in folders from the facility. We keep the weekly processed papers in no specific order in a temporary hold for a year.
And then the rest can just go, right? Like that's really great. And like I file my paperwork for uh, the Clutter Fairy, and for me personally, it's really just two bins. And I just keep, as I spend money or do things related to those two entities, I file the paper in a bucket. And at the end of the year, everything in the bucket has something to do with my taxes in the Clutter Fairy box. And there's things in the personal box that I go through and throw out and pluck out the things that are tax related. And I don't have to do anything more fancy than that in order to be able to find the paperwork when I need it and for it to be in one place for me to deal with when I do my taxes. So, yeah, like make it as simple as you can for your energy level and your personal needs. And it sounds like you've done that, Ginger. Good for you.
Ginger went on to say, when something isn't working smoothly and efficiently in our home, it means we need a better system for using it.
Mm-hmm. And the first sign that something's not working is you refuse to do it. like
Right,
I
right,
hate
right.
filing, I'm not going to do it, right? Like that was your first sign, that was your first clue. And also like if you find that there's a pile of things that need to be put away in a certain way and you're letting it pile up before you go over and initiate adding those things into the system, it's probably because executing that particular system feels annoying to you in some way. It feels like a barrier. And so it's too hard for you to put stuff away quickly and easily. And so you're not putting it away, you're making a pile of things to put away later. If you ever make a pile of put away later stuff, it's because the way that you have to put it away is a hassle to you and it's a barrier to you. And noticing that and revising that system is super important. Thanks for the comment.
Okay, Anya asked, does walking through separation/divorce emotions, or rather grief, also count as decluttering? I'm struggling badly finding a new and smaller home, being also disabled and turning 60 in 3 months. Just glad and thankful I am not poor.
Right? And it's hard to simultaneously take effective action and to be feeling really acute distress emotion. So you're grieving about the divorce and you're living through that pain and suffering that comes from when a divorce first happens. And those big emotions get in the way of you being sort of effective and able to make good choices as if it wasn't emotionally taxing. It's grief is a hard emotion to work around because it takes up
Mhm.
so much mental energy. And so it's not surprising to me that you're struggling to be an effective project manager right now, which is I got to find a new place to live while you're dealing with all these emotions. And so if there's somebody that can help you, you might want to tap your friends at this point and say, I need some emotional support about how to find a new place. I need some help. One of my friends, when my mother died, our lease was up right that like a couple months after she had died. And so clearly I was struggling just to work. I mean, it was a terrible time for me. And so my roommate at the time, she went out, she looked for the listings, she went out and preliminarily viewed houses, and she would occasionally call and say, okay, after work, we got to go look at this one, see what you think. She would send me off to ones that, she thought might pass. And she did a bunch of legwork for me in advance. And this time when I had to move and bought the house, I hate looking at real estate listings online. I do not find that fun at all. Other people find that super entertaining. I find it super annoying. So one of my retired friends who's likes looking at houses, she went online and did a whole bunch of preliminary work for me. And she went and looked up stuff and, tried to, because it was entertaining for her. It's like, have a great time. Tell me when you think there's something I should look at. And so I think if there's somebody around you that can help you with hunting or that can help you brainstorm about alternate solutions about where to go or what to do, then I think it's a great it's a great time to ask for support because I know that you're compromised, and everybody that's ever had lost a big relationship, particularly one after a long time, there's a lot of grieving going on and it's eating up a lot of your brain energy. So I'm sorry that you're having to make big life changes and be super sad all at the same time. It is the nature of divorce, and it is why divorce is so devastating for all of us. I'm sorry. Sorry that you're having a hard time.
Okay, Naomi says, my biggest problem is all confined to your last sentence of your prepared presentation, asking for help. I have a lot of repairs that I've been putting off for years because I haven't gotten past the sense that I ought to be able to do them myself,
Oh,
when really I need to hire the proper tradesperson.
yes, you do. Because here's the thing, DIYers are never as good as the people they hire, right? And I will tell you that my brother in law is an engineer and he can do it. But he's one of a million husbands in the world There's not that many who possess the actual skills that he, and his struggle is, I don't, he's 65, he's retired, and he's like, oh, I don't really want to do these things, but I know that I can. And so I struggle to spend money on something that I know that I can do. And I'm like, dude, you're 65, you're retired. This is why you worked all this time, so that you could spend money and make other people do stuff. And he's like, but I struggle. So he has the opposite struggle. Like, he has the skills, and he feels bad that he's spending money instead of doing it himself. And yours is the opposite struggle, right? Like, you need stuff done, and you feel like you should do it, but you can't. And so I would say go and spend the money and get it done, because as soon as it's done, you're going to feel so happy that it's fixed and finished. You're going to feel so much relief that that part is done. And even if you can't do it all at once, even if you are doling out your finances to cover the repairs, batch group them. Here's the 5 things the plumber needs to do. Here's the 4 things a carpenter needs to do. Here's, make your little batches, and get a little bit done at a time, and you will feel so much better when those things are done, truly, because I know they've been weighing on your mind and making you crazy this whole time. You're worrying about them, you're fretting about it, and the truth is, you are not suddenly going to go to carpenter school and become a carpenter. You're not going to suddenly wake up one day and have, plumbing skills. You're not going to go to YouTube and watch 3 videos on, fixing the toilet and suddenly be able to do that. And, like, I know people do those kinds of things, and I think that they take a risk that I'm going to DIY it by watching a YouTube video. And, here's hoping that when I do what the YouTube video says, I don't completely destroy it or mess it up or make it explode. Like, the possibility is it'll be fine, or the possibility is you will make it worse. And, certainly repairmen are not, they're not perfect either. And sometimes they may make mistakes too. But the truth is, if you don't have anything even remotely resembling the skills, then that's not your strong suit. It's not a failure. It's just not your strong suit. And hire the guys and let them come fix it. And don't worry about don't quibble about the money. Like, you're buying peace of mind, and you're safeguarding your house, and you're safeguarding your contents, and things that aren't working right are causing damage to your most expensive asset, which is your house. And so it's worth it to spend the time and money to maintain it, and to have a professional do it in the shortest possible way, the shortest possible path. And, recognize that sometimes it takes them, they might have to come at it a couple of times before they get it there. But if they had to do it, you certainly would have had to do it. If they have to take a couple of steps to figure out what's wrong and fix it, you certainly would have had to take at least that many steps, if not a million more. So go spend the money. Don't feel bad about it. It's just not your skill set, and you don't have to have it, and it's okay. And not everybody can be my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law he rebuilt the dock on their lake house. Like, he ripped it down and built another one because it wasn't in spec according to the provisions for the subdivision. And so he's like, oh, okay. And he tore it down. He built another one. But, he spent many days working on that, and a lot of time and effort, and he was tired at the end. And, he could have paid somebody to come and do it, and then it wouldn't have been so much work so much drain on his physical energy. And that's really what's happening now. It's like, yeah, I could do it, but then I'm going to be exhausted and tired at the end. And do I really want to be that way? So,
And I think the really important question to ask is this really how I want to be spending my time?
yeah.
Now, if you have
Absolutely.
if you have some of the required skill and not and you don't have the money that it would cost to hire a professional, I can see trying to bring yourself up to speed.
Mm.
Um,
To improve your skill.
Yeah, to improve your skill. But is it really what you want to be doing? And could you, find a way, budget for the repair, save your money
Hmm.
for a while, get a professional come in and take care of it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
D in the Sierra says, you must have better people in Houston. I've had to fix a lot of the work I've paid professionals to do.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, well, that means I think that you probably need to vet with your neighbors and friends who's doing a good job and who isn't before you hire them. Um, no guarantees, of course, anytime,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
asking around, asking people who they use, how they found their results, trying to get some real world experience from people is worth the effort before you bring somebody in.
Julie says, this is empowering. I'm a DIY and I am getting past it. Need to spend money or downsize and move.
Yeah.
Moving is hard and expensive, so the money is better spent on professionals and lifting help.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you don't want to downsize, you can still reduce the contents and reduce what's there to manage so that even if the house stays the same, the stuff inside of it is reduced and shrinks to a more manageable level. And that's perfectly within your reach as well. Yeah, absolutely. Spend the money, get somebody in there to fix stuff. Don't make yourself crazy.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about next week.
Okay.
We haven't picked a topic yet. The theme, I don't even remember what the theme is. I looked that up before we started, and watch your email for announcement, but we will be back next week, July 29th at the usual time. And Gayle, why don't you
Okay.
give us the tittle?
Okay, this week's weekly tittle is Be Honest. This week's assignment is to take a deeper dive into the reasons behind your keep decisions. Identify an item that you've previously considered getting rid of but ultimately decided to keep, and jot down one or two reasons that you chose to keep the item. Reflect on whether your reasons for keeping the item might be providing cover for one of the issues we discussed in this episode. You keep the item out of a sense of nostalgia, or a sense of guilt, or a sense of uncertainty or fear. You keep an item for a hypothetical just in case situation, or you're keeping the item because it costs a lot of money. Now consider whether the reasons you noted for keeping the item still hold up to close scrutiny. Do you truly love, want, use, or need this item? If not, are you ready to let it go? And if you can make a let it go decision, come back and tell us how it went. We'd love to hear about it and see what kinds of things you decided, I don't really have to keep that after all, and let it go. Let us know what happens.
Excellent. Okay, I got a question about virtual organizing. So would
Oh,
you
okay.
make your virtual organizing pitch?
Oh, about me being a virtual
Yeah,
organizer?
about
Yes.
you working as a virtual organizer. We haven't
Okay.
talked about it in a while, and so
So, here's what I do as a virtual organizer. I give you an hour. It says 50 minutes in there, but basically we're talking around an hour. And we get online together in a Zoom just like this so that you can show me with your phone or your laptop or your iPad around with your camera and show me what you want to talk about. And I can either sit with you and talk with you and answer questions and ask questions as you work on an organizing area so that when you reach the sticking points or you get hung up somewhere or you have questions, then you can ask them of me. Or we can talk about a project that you need to have planning support with, and we can talk about the plan. And so a lot of times of what I do is I help people talk through, okay, here's where you're trying to go, here's the end result that you want, and here's the barriers that have been getting in your way and why you're feeling overwhelmed. And then let's talk about what I think you should do and what order to get to your end result. And so I spend that time taking your feedback about the project and what's been getting in the way, and then helping you devise a plan, a step-by-step plan to go forward and get it done. And a lot of times people find that is enough. They just need clarity about what the pathway through would be. And sometimes they just need, I can't face the paper by myself, and I don't have anybody else that I feel safe with or comfortable with or trust to be in my financial data. So I don't want somebody physically here, but you can sit there and I can talk about what I'm touching and ask questions about it. And I can, you can show me stuff in the camera if you want, and I can help you make decisions. And that allows people to work when they feel unable to work by themselves around something specific. If they just feel so stuck about it or so like they don't understand how to face it or do it, or what the right answer is. A lot of times they're wondering what the right answer is, and so they don't know how to dispose of it. And so we talk through all of those issues as people. Yeah, it is body doubling. Exactly. It's virtual body doubling. Basically, it's what's happening. So I'm sitting with you while you work. One time I actually did it with a couple. It was very interesting. They were moving and they were not like they were, getting a little irritated under the stress of the move. That's my euphemism for what was happening.
Right.
And they needed me to be on the call with them as they went, like we were in the kitchen, for instance, and as they would go through cabinets and pull stuff down. And I would talk to them about, okay, so what are we keeping, what are we not keeping? And they would start to, banter back and forth about what needed to stay and what needed to go. And as a result, I was able to jump in and go, okay, so here's what I think she's saying, and here's what I think you're saying. And like I could negotiate.
Mediate.
Yes, I
Yeah.
mediated the keep toss decisions before they became arguments. And that way they were able to make choices and continue to pack. And so that was, they needed me as a referee to keep them from going off the rails, because they were stressed out and it was overwhelming them and they were running out of steam. And so I was the on-site referee virtually, because they were actually in California. So I've done that kind of stuff too. And
And you record the sessions?
I record the sessions if you want them. I don't know that anybody actually looks at them. I think, it's available if you wish to go back and watch it again. I can make a recording happen, so that's not a problem. And otherwise, we spend our hour doing that. I had a client in Europe who she wanted more than an hour, so we booked a longer virtual appointment. So we basically worked a regular organizing appointment through the camera, and we were working in her office, so it was all sort of in a contained space. But it meant that we were going through and I was helping her with decisions and devising systems, and looking at her desk in real time and going, okay, what about if you put this over there? I can make suggestions about how to do stuff based on what I'm seeing in the camera. So initially I was concerned that, if I wasn't able to sit there and touch it myself, it wouldn't work as well. But have actually found that I can ask questions and say, open that cabinet, tell me what's in there, what's in that box, show it to me. And I can get the information that I need through the camera, and then make reasonable suggestions that people can do and take on board. And so it's worked really very well. I've been quite surprised.
Okay, and would you hold up the sign
I will.
to tell
Here's
people where
the
they can get
sign.
more info? That's cfhou.com/virtual
Virtual.
to get any details we might have left out, and
Yep.
to book an appointment. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, we would love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group by visiting cfhou.com/meetup.
Meet up.
You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or join our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from you, so please keep your questions, comments, and topic suggestions coming on YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere that you find us. You can always reach us through the website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
And you can go see other videos that we've already done at cfhou.com/YouTube, because we got them out there. A lot of you are regular watchers and re-watchers of the stuff. I really appreciate that you guys do that. That's awesome. And I'm glad that most of the material hangs in the second or third time that you go through them. So that's always good to know. And I hope that you enjoy them. We love being here every week, so we are so grateful. If you want to, like and subscribe on YouTube, that would be wonderful. And we will be here next week. Come back and visit us again. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.